How old are you?
I'm 35. I've always known that I had fibroids, but I didn't know that they were that big. Prior to me having the fibroids as big as they were like 3 to 4 centimeters, right? I used to have my period 3 days. When the fibroids started growing even more, it was 7 days plus, with probably about 3 days of heavy bleeding and clotting and all that. I would have pain in my side, like lower abdomen, and I would feel like a lot of pressure, you know, like even when I'm not menstruating. I would go to the bathroom a lot to urinate because it was pressing on my my bladder. I'm using more and more pads. Throughout the day, at least probably 8 or so, I started having like huge clots, right? Probably like the size of my hand. A few of those would drop out per day or per 2-3 hours. This year was the first time in my life that I've used overnight pads. I can't concentrate at work. I can't concentrate because I have to keep thinking, okay, something's going on down there. I need to get to the bathroom before I can get messed up, and then I have to go home. I've had one incident where I went to the printer. I felt a gush, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? I get to the bathroom, and it messed up my clothes.
Wow.
So I had to change there. Luckily, I had a sweater. Like, I'm tying the sweater around me because I got to get out of the building. So I had to get underwear, pads, and a different pants. I drove with a plastic bag on my car seat to the supermarket, did what I had to do, and then went back to work. I was iron deficient due to the heavy bleeding. I started taking New Species on the first day of my period. Because remember when I came and you said when my cycle is, and I'm like, it starts today, and he's like, well, you need to start this like right now.
Right.
So when I started it that day, my period, and this was amazing to me also, my period wasn't as heavy and clotty. The clottiness wasn't, it was there, but it wasn't like every 2 seconds I'm like, oh my gosh, there's something going on, I need to go to the bathroom. Today is the month from the first time I started taking New Species, and my 3rd day it's trickling. I don't really feel that pressure in my side anymore. Prior to being on this, I was not very regular.
For how long?
Bowel movement. Maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years.
That's a long time.
I don't know. Like I would go probably every other day, but I didn't have a lot of fiber in me. When I started on what I'm taking, the first day, probably like 4 or 5 times or so, I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? And it's not like it was like loose diarrhea type. It was formed, but it wasn't a lot. It's like instantaneously. When I went home, I took it just before I went to bed. The morning when I got up, I went to the bathroom.
Wow. Do you feel more normal now than you felt before?
You know what, to tell you the truth, I do feel a little bit more normal. The other day I actually said to myself that I got in and I thought I would have been more tired taking everything that I did throughout the day, and I wasn't as tired. I stayed up and I was able to read a little bit here and there.